Hello everybody, I got this Ford F-150. On this one I'm changing the hub assembly today. You're going to need to open this bolt. I'm not going to try to remove the caliper from here today. I'm just going to remove the caliper from the main bolts and secure the caliper in place. There you go. Bolts for the caliper here. Perfect. There we go. Now I'm just going to lift it up. It requires both hands. I'm going to lift it up and secure it in place. I just secured the caliper with a zip tie here. Leave a little slack because if sometimes the calipers get pressure and it'll break the zip tie. Now we're going to go ahead and disconnect the hub bolts. You can maneuver the caliper around to get access to these bolts. This side I had to use extension because I wasn't getting enough clearance. It was hitting, my gun was hitting here. So it's out. So this rotor is kind of hard, so we gotta use a screw in place to pull the rotor away from the hub. There you go. So if you use a screw, one or two, it will pull the rotor off easy for you. There we go. Now we can see the hub is already loose. And I can also see the ABS sensor. Take the ABS sensor out. We're just going to remove all these mounting right here that is holding the sensor cable in place. And the plug for the ABS sensor is way up there. There we go. Sensor is, so it is one of those bolts. So that one has a locking pin here. That's what I had to remove. Nevertheless, we got it out. Now I'm just going to pull the hub assembly out, guide it out, and then get ourselves a new one mounted in. When is it to come out? Wow, just like that. Okay, so here's your ABS. Put a new hub. I just have to compare the old and new hub, make sure we have the correct parts. So far everything looks good. We got a new ABS sensor. I'm gonna use that one. I'm gonna add grease around here to insert that into it. Go and install it. One thing you do have to do is run the ABS wire before pushing the hub in place. If you guide everything properly, the hub does sit properly by itself. So just spin to make sure the bottom rings are locked up, sitting in its groove, and then tighten the bolts down. I was able to tighten all the bolts here, finish the last one. There we go. Just double check all your bolts. Then we're gonna put the front axle nut back on and tighten this guy up. So I just made sure I route the ABS sensor wire properly, mounted it all to its mounting brackets, and it's plugged up top. I had to hand torque this one to proper torque specs. And then we're just going to put the cap back on. There you go. Let's slide the rotor and the caliper. So I had to hand guide the caliper bolts. And then now we're going to use gun. Torque them down. These bolts do need to be highly torqued, so I'm going to use my torque wrench. Torquing them to specs and start putting the wheel back on. So I just torqued the bolts down. The caliper is mounted. I didn't open any of these bolts. We're good. Just double check the work. Caps on, bolts torqued, hub assembly's tight. ABS wires are connected. Back of the axle has no uneven gap. All the hub bolts are torqued down. You can see the fourth one right there. And We did not open any of the control arm parts. We're not worried about those. Now we're just going to put the wheel back on. And this is how you replace your hub assembly on your Ford F-150 if you have any play to it. The only thing I had, or I would advise you guys, if you're doing this the first time, is to make sure you have like a tool, just apply it or something to remove this cap. Do not torque the bolt down with a gun. Tighten it by the hand. The hub assembly bolts, you can remove them with a gun or a hand, doesn't matter. If the hub is stuck, use a puller, do not use a hammer on it. And when you install this back on, you have to make sure that these teeth back here are lining up. So do not have the hub halfway in and try to torque it down. You have to hand push it in, line it up, move the axle from back by hand so you can line it up and confirm the fitment before tightening it down. Another thing is just to keep an eye on when you are securing the caliper. You have to make sure the brake line is not kinked anywhere and it's not under stress. These are things that I can think of can go wrong. So just be careful with this job when you do it, because you do have a brake system in play, ABS system in play, and a hub. So this little section has 2 systems, 3 systems working together. Best of luck. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Please like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.